One of the most lovable stars of Oz was not a person, but a dog. Toto was a cairn terrier named Terry. Arguably the most recognizable animal performer of all time. There was more to Terry than meets the eye. If you want to know what secret Terry was hiding, the solution is at the end of this tale.
Toto, that's not polite. We haven't been asked yet.
A captivating little scene stealer, Terry had to work hard to overcome a painful shyness. Famed animal trainer Carl Spitz helped draw Terry out, and by 1939, Terry was a seasoned veteran.
Yeah, I think you're smart, don't you? How do you like
One of Terry's biggest roles was as Spencer Tracy's pet, Rainbow, in the thriller Fury in 1936. Right after The Wizard of Oz, Terry went from rural ragamuffin to snooty society pet in The Women.
Now, here's her special drinking water.
But you don't ever want to drink, Miss Bennet.
Ah, but you never can tell. Someday she may.
Another starring role came in the 1940 murder mystery Calling Philo Vance.
I know, McTavish. I'm glad to see you too, Captain.
On several occasions, Terry rejoined fellow Oz cast members, most notably Frank Morgan in Tortilla Flat in 1942.
This is my little Pajarito. I don't know what he is, but he likes to play with a ball.
After Oz, Terry was officially rechristened Toto and continued to work under that name until retiring in 1942. Toto passed away at Carl Spitz's ranch in the San Fernando Valley in 1944. Want to know Toto's secret? In real life, he was a she.
Toto too? Toto too?
I don't know. But some people without brains do an awful lot of talking.
The versatile Ray Bolger was nothing short of perfection in motion as the Scarecrow. For him, it was a professional high watermark. But he almost turned the film down.
Now that's getting personal.
The key to what Bolger considered the last straw in a moment.
Stuff a mattress with me.
A native of Dorchester, Massachusetts, Bolger began his career as a hoofer at the age of 18. By 1936, he was so popular, he played himself in MGM's sumptuous production of The Great Ziegfeld.
Mr. Ziegfeld, gee, I wish you'd give me a chance. I've got talent, and I'd like to get away from shifting scenery and moving props.
How long have you been a property boy?
5 years, but my heart hasn't been in it.
You've been working a long time without your heart, buddy.
The studio was impressed, so they kept him on to do other pictures, and that led straight to The Wizard of Oz.
Wonderful.
For the rest of his life, Bolger would bounce back and forth between the stage and the screen. One of his most outstanding appearances was in The Harvey Girls in 1946. There he goes again, dancing with Judy Garland. Back on Broadway, Bolger wowed audiences in the hit comedy Where's Charlie?, which earned him a much-deserved Tony Award.
It's no use screaming at a time like this. Nobody will hear
Ray
you.
Bolger would continue to bring joy to audiences around the world until his death in 1987 at the age of 83.
I think I'll miss you most of all.
By the way, the reason Ray Bolger nearly said no to The Wizard of Oz, they originally offered him a different part, the Tin Man.
Oh, joy, rapture. I've got a brain.
The giddy brilliance of Bert Lahr's cowardly lion is stamped in our memories forever. But he later found a new generation of television fans with a role he could sink his teeth into. If you don't know how he did it, that tidbit is coming right up. Born Irving Lahrheim in New York on August 13th, 1895, Lahr made his stage debut when he was only 15. By the 1930s, he was one of Broadway's brightest lights. The stage was always his specialty, but Lahr also had frequent engagements in radio, film, and later television. One of his more delectable appearances was as a lovelorn stage door Johnny in Ship Ahoy in 1942.
Take it easy, boss. Remember your Aunt Jemima's pectorosis?
Never mind my afflictions. Where have you been?
I'm sorry, boss. I'm devastated. Cupid snuck up on me and pierced my epidermis. I'm a broken reed, a chaff in the wind.
In 1954, Lahr charmed the public with his comical Mountie in Rosemarie.
I missed you, girlie. The thought of you depressed me during the day, nagging me at night, and frustrating me at twilight.
On stage, he garnered thunderous reviews for his groundbreaking performances in Waiting for Godot and A Midsummer Night's Dream. And in 1964, he was honored with a Tony for the musical Foxy.
Shucks, folks, I'm speechless.
Bert Lahr's last movie was released after his death. He never quit acting. He passed away on December 4th, 1967, leaving behind an indelible legacy of laughter and courage. Bert Lahr's tasty turn on the small screen? He was the tormented potato chip man who couldn't eat just one.
Tell me when it's over.
Beautiful. What a nickel.
It's empty. The tinsmith forgot to give me a heart.
Jack Haley and Judy Garland made glorious chemistry on the yellow brick road, but they later shared a deeper connection that went far beyond the soundstage. The link will be revealed in a moment. Just as Ray Bolger and Bert Lahr had done, Haley worked his way through vaudeville before achieving success on Broadway and later in Tinseltown.
Aha! What are you doing here?
Believe it or not, I'm waiting for a streetcar.
Throughout the 1930s and 40s, Haley's marvelously expressive face and flawless comedic timing served him well in a string of madcap comedies.
Mister, what's the matter with you?
Don't worry, Bud. We'll take care of him.
Somebody better.
In George White's Scandals of 1945, he was reunited with Margaret Hamilton, but she appeared no less frightening than she had in Oz.
If you tell her any of the things that you've told Janie and Susie and Maisie and Daisy and Helen and Llewellyn and Gertrude and Alice and Nettie and Betty and Dora and... Better sit this one out.
Although he retired from pictures at the end of the 40s, Haley remained in the public eye with numerous appearances on radio and television. But Haley found his greatest reward in helping others. For the rest of his days, he worked tirelessly to raise millions for charitable causes, becoming as beloved for his true kindness as for his roster of wonderful roles.
Someday they're going to erect a statue to me in this town.
Well, don't start posing for it now.
Jack Haley, a man of tremendous heart, was 80 years old when he passed away on June 6th, 1979. And the bond that Jack Haley shared with Judy Garland, Haley's son, Jack Jr., later married Judy's daughter, Liza Minnelli.
I am a witch. I'm Glinda, the Witch of the North. You are?
Billie Burke never burst any bubbles. Just like in the Land of Oz, she was both good and beautiful, with an ageless elegance. After all, she was 54 years old when she floated into Munchkin Square.
And meet the young lady who fell from a star.
But 3 years before Oz, Billie Burke had a chance to behold something very few people ever do. That story is coming right up. She was born Mary William Ethelbert Appleton Burke in Washington, D.C. in 1885. Before her London debut at the age of 18, she adopted the stage name Billie after her father, a renowned singing clown in the Barnum and Bailey Circus. By the time she was 22, Burke was the queen of Broadway. Among her legions of admirers was celebrated theatrical impresario Florence Ziegfeld. They eloped in 1914 and tied the knot in Hoboken, New Jersey. After her husband's death, Burke embarked upon an entirely new chapter of her saga, becoming one of the screen's busiest and most popular character actresses. George Cukor used her to great effect in 1933's all-star extravaganza, Dinner at 8.
This is a nice time to say you're feeling rotten. You come to me with your new whimpering about Ernest. Some little lovers quarrel. I'm expected to listen to Ernest and business and headaches when I'm half out of my mind.
Shortly before becoming Glinda, Burke had a chance to play Judy Garland's not-so-motherly mother in Everybody Sing.
I think you better take me in your arms and kiss me.
Daddy doesn't want him to. Look, see, he's written the Duchess leads Sir Geoffrey to the Davenport and sits down beside him.
Over the next 3 decades, Burke would bewitch her audiences with her own special brand of beauty, warmth, and magic.
Oh, do please call us Doris and Herbert, not Mr. and Mrs. Dunstan.
She did more than 60 movies before she retired in 1960. She passed away 10 years later at the age of 84. Incidentally, that rare event Billie Burke got to see, herself on screen played by another actress, Myrna Loy, in The Great Ziegfeld.
Miss Burke? It doesn't matter.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
Margaret Hamilton's Wicked Witch of the West filled us with fear and trembling, but away from the studio, she was a sweet, gracious lady. She was adored by everyone who met her, especially small children and furry little animals.
Well, ring around the rosy, a pocket full of spears. That should be pretty foxy, didn't you?
Do you know what the Wicked Witch and the Terminator have in common? The surprising answer is just around the corner. Hamilton's breakthrough arrived in the Broadway production of Another Language in 1932. She was so arresting in her sharp-tongued delivery, she was brought to Hollywood to do it all over again on film in 1933.
Hey, that's a cute dress you've got on, but I can't wear that new line.
Listen, you need a different corset now, I keep telling you. One that comes down, look. And up here, see? Right where you need it, it holds you in.
Before succumbing to the seduction of the footlights, Hamilton had been a school teacher, and it must have been gratifying to play one as she did here, opposite Edward G. Robinson in A Slight Case of Murder.
They ain't changed a bit. Still just as slick as a horsehair couch.
You don't know what this means to the little ones. It's a banner day in their little world when you come.
Yes, I'm sure.
Although best remembered for her nastier roles, on occasion she could be genuinely sympathetic, as in 1936's Chatterbox.
Jenny, I was an actress myself once.
Really?
Really. And naturally, I can give you a few pointers.
Upon occasion, Hamilton found herself alongside one of her fellow Oz colleagues, including Frank Morgan in Saratoga.
Yes, well, from now on, madam, your face is in your own hands.
That's a fine way to talk to your public.
Well, yes. Well, I'm sorry,
And in George White's Scandals, she played Jack Haley's possessive sister.
Looks like I can't trust you alone for a minute.
Hello, sister. Jack had something in his eye, and I was just trying to get it out.
Must have been trying to take it out with your teeth.
After more than 50 years of remarkably enduring work, Margaret Hamilton passed away on May 16th, 1985. We are truly fortunate no one ever dropped a house on her. What is it Margaret Hamilton had in common with Arnold Schwarzenegger? They both ran for public office. Hamilton was elected to the Beverly Hills School Board in 1948.
Oh, what a world, what a world!
Oh, she bit her dog, eh?
Charlie Grapewin, Dorothy's kindly old Uncle Henry in black and white Kansas, had a legendary show business career. He did something special. You'll find out what it was in a moment. Charlie Grapewin began working constantly in the movies when most people his age would be thinking of retirement. From the age of 60 until he was 82, he made more than 100 pictures, including such timeless classics as The Grapes of Wrath and They Died with Their Boots On.
Yeah, shucks. That ain't nothing. I can split in the prairie dog's eye at 50 feet. Ain't nobody in these parts can beat California Joe when it when it comes to spitting.
Although acclaimed for his crusty country types, Grapewin could play a high-powered city slicker with equal skill, as in Libeled Lady for MGM in 1936.
Hey, what is this? Do I own a paper or a lunatic asylum?
You just took the words out of my mouth.
Mr. Bain, my future wife. Nonsense! I'll be in my office. Get rid of this woman.
Perhaps Grapewin's most startling transformation was as the Chinese patriarch in The Good Earth in 1937.
Are you a farmer's son or not?
Your woman must work as your mother did, and bear children as she did. 6 sons like mine.
Your tea will be cold.
True, true.
Despite his industrious acting schedule, Grapewin found the time to become a successful playwright and novelist. And unlike the people he usually played on screen, he was impeccably groomed whenever away from the studio. After nearly 8 decades in show business, Charlie Grapewin retired in 1951. He passed away 5 years later on February the 2nd, 1956. Charlie Grapewin's singular accomplishment years before any of his fellow Oz castmates, he made a movie, Jimmy Hicks and the Rum Omelette, way back in 1900.
Elmira Gulch, just because you own half the county doesn't mean you have the power to run the rest of us. For 23 years, I've been dying to tell you what I thought of you.
She may have been on screen for only a few scenes, but they were good ones. Clara Blandick gained undeniable immortality as Dorothy's dearest Auntie M in The Wizard of Oz. But there was another storybook aunt Clara Blandick played not once, not twice, but 3 times on the big screen. Who was it? The answer is coming up.
Here, what's all this jabber-wopping when there's work to be done? I know 3 shiftless farmhands that'll be out of a job before they know it.
Born on an American ship in Hong Kong Harbor, Blandick made a few films during the silent era, but her first love was the stage. She made her talking picture debut in the 1929 hit comedy, Wise Girls.
Your ma was the prettiest woman then. It's a long time ago.
Over the next 30 years, Blandick was a welcome presence in dozens of movies. Her parts were not usually large, but they were often memorable.
Gambling. Did you hear that? These foreigners would corrupt the devil himself.
She could be officious, she could be stern, she could even be mean with equal believability. But it was for her sweet-natured little old ladies that Clara Blandick is best remembered.
My dear, when I was your age, I could have married money, but instead I picked a very poor man whom I loved dearly. John and I have been married for 50 years, and day by day our love has bloomed into the most wonderful hatred. Next time I get hitched, it's for dough.
After enlivening more than 100 movies with her presence, Clara Blandick passed away at the age of 81 on April the 15th, 1962. And that other storybook aunt Clara Blandick brought to life 3 times? She was Aunt Polly in Tom Sawyer in 1930, in Huckleberry Finn in 1931, and again in Tom Sawyer Detective in 1938.
How did you know that? Yes, you seem to know more about Huckleberry's afternoon than he does himself.
You're a very bad man.
Oh, no, my dear. I'm a very good man. I'm just a very bad wizard.
It's impossible to imagine anyone other than Frank Morgan as the Wizard of Oz, but the part almost went to W.C. Fields.
Prove it!
These 2 comic geniuses had something else in common, but we'll come to that in just a moment.
No! You're wasting my time!
For decades, Morgan delighted audiences everywhere with masterful portrayals of befuddled, bemused, and bewildered characters with a genial touch.
Oh, listen, Pearl, I can just see Casey and Matthews present, whatever his name is.
Born as Francis Wupperman in 1890, he changed his name when he first took to the Broadway boards in 1914, following in the footsteps of his older brother, Ralph.
Well, that's
more like it.
Frank Morgan was a notable success on the stage, and in 1930 he was summoned to Hollywood.
Well, bust my buttons!
In Saratoga, he had a chance to work with Gable and Harlow, but he also found himself exchanging pleasantries with a future Wicked Witch.
You heard what she said. Madam, would you rather be around horses, or would he be...
Mister, I'm afraid you don't understand us women.
Morgan's exceptional performances were twice singled out for Academy Award nominations, including his poignant work in Tortilla Flat.
I think I remember. St. Francis, he looked at me and smiled like a good saint. And he said, "Be good to little dogs, you dirty man." Did he call you that? Well, I was. And saints, they never lie, you know.
On September 18th, 1949, after nearly 20 years as one of Hollywood's most beloved character actors, Frank Morgan passed away at the age of 59.
Poor little kid. I hope she gets home all right.
What did Frank Morgan and W.C. Fields have in common? They both rented the same house, a magnificent Hollywood mansion that was later the home of Lily Tomlin.